how do you become the best possible TTRPG player? Like, what's the best role player or Dungeons and Dragons player out there possible? How do you become the best? I engage a lot on social media. I know there's a lot of different type of people who have different perspectives on this. I think it's important for me to preface this by saying that I think that Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games, I think that they are social hobbies. So everything I say is with the caveat that this is a social experience, and anything we can do to improve the social experience is going to be a positive thing. And for me, that's a goal. So yes, you may be really good at min-maxing. You might be good at your stats. That's cool. I like it. I appreciate it. I like doing it myself. But for me, the most important thing you could possibly do is focus on helping other people have a good positive experience, and yourself too. Like, you want to have a good time. So let me go through the list of this. I want to throw this out there as an idea, because players are one part of the game. The dungeon master is the other part. Players are going to have a better time when the dungeon master is professional, when they are good at facilitating, when they have an attitude of supporting players. So everything I say here tends to work better when the dungeon master is a little more experienced. Now, look, you can still do this and have a great time with someone who's never been a GM before, but it's a little easier for the players to shine when the GM has more experience. So just keep that in mind when you're playing in your home group. And if you're like, well, I tried this thing, it didn't work. I mean, if your GM's really new, you're going to have a hard time and a fun time just figuring out how the game works in general, which is fine. So let's start with the first thing. This is a team game. That is number one. This is a team-focused game. So remember, you were there to play a story with other people and have a positive experience with the rest of the group. So as a group, you were there to try to work together. And anytime you can do something or take an action to support someone else, that's usually a very positive thing. And keep in mind that we have characters in our game, but we also have other people that have different needs and different reasons for playing. So be conscious of both the character in the story and kind of the meta, what's going on with the people around the game. So that's the number one thing that I recommend for all players to be the best D&D player out there. Next thing, especially if you're a new player, but also if you're more experienced. And this is something that I see a lot. And I don't know, there's so many opportunities for this in game, but it doesn't get leveraged as much as it could. There's often a thing that needs doing. Go do that thing. If you want to be good at D&D, in my personal opinion, like if you want to be good at playing D&D, if there's a door that needs opening, go open the door. The rest of the story is on the other side of the door. And I'm not talking, someone's going to say in the comments, like, well, what about my freedom to explore? That's not what I'm talking about. Like, if you've obviously explored the room, there's a door, it's locked. Nothing is in the room that you're in. You've already picked over the treasure. If someone's got to open the door, if you want to be a good D&D player, open the dang door. Just go open it. Move forward. Of course, ask your teammates if they have some ideas or they want to help or whatever, but like, it's okay to take action to progress the plot. If there's an enemy that needs fighting, don't just stand there. Fight the damn enemy. That's the whole point of the game, right? To take action, to do things. So find the thing that needs doing, do that thing, and don't worry about screwing up. Don't worry about doing the wrong thing if there's something obvious that needs to happen. So take that action and move it forward by doing the thing that needs to be done. Third thing, character motivations. This is something when you're looking over your character, I always recommend maybe 3 to 5 sentences of a backstory. Like when the first time I wrote a character backstory, it was like literally 11 pages long. My DM was like, that is really intense. I'm really impressed you put all this time into this, and I'm not going to use like really any of this. That's too much. So when you have a character backstory, the reason it's important for you so you can be good at D&D is that it gives your character a reason for behaving in certain ways. It gives you some reference points. So give your character some trauma. I mean, it doesn't have to be a ton of trauma. And I know trauma is a big topic in D&D, and many people play it as a therapeutic exercise. Like, you don't have to go like super deep. Like maybe somebody stole your cat in your character's backstory. Or if you want to get a little darker with the trauma, that's fine. Your mileage may vary. Pick something for you that will help motivate your character. And then give them a goal. Like, your character is on this adventure for a reason. It's a story. They're not just like, oh, I thought I'd go along with the party and see what happens. Like, maybe they want to get rich. Maybe they want to get vengeance. Maybe they want to find love. Maybe they want to find fame. Whatever it is, give them a reason for acting. It will help guide your actions to tell an exciting story to benefit the team when you get in those situations where you're not sure what to do. Okay. This one kind of overlaps with other things that I've talked about, but I want to continue to emphasize this. It's a story. It's not an MMORPG where you're just randomly running around mining for loot. Like, there's a story. The dungeon master is the referee and the narrator and the facilitator, but there's not some AI underneath the game, like just generating ideas so that you can go do whatever random crap you want. If you want to be good at D&D, your character needs to be involved in the story. And so this is kind of a meta way of lumping in together the other things. Doing what needs to be done is a way to be involved in the story. Giving your character motivations is a way to be involved in the story. Working with your teammates and other players is a way to be involved in the story. There's lots of ways to be involved in the story, but find a way to participate in the telling of the shared activity. Now, it's people can give me a hard time for this because I'm like, I'm a business owner. And I'm like usually very much like pro capitalism and yes, individual freedom, that kind of thing. But like D&D is totally the opposite of that. It's a community. It's all about the group. It's all about the shared positive experience of a group. It's like the opposite of capitalism. It's the shared unifying moment where we all come together and like, yeah, we're going to fight the Dark Lord. So see how you can support one another in the game by your character being involved. So like thing 4A to tack onto that, you have to do things. Your character has to do things to do that. And I know that sounds redundant, maybe obvious for some of you, but I can't believe how many players I've seen where they're just like passive observers of the story. They're like, well, I have an axe and I have some treasure. And they just walk around with the party like they're in a video game waiting for the game to tell them the story. That doesn't work. To tell the story, to be involved, you have to do. You have to use your skill set. You have to use your voice and imagination to interact. You as a player have to make things happen to actually make things happen. Yes, the dungeon master has tools to bring the story to you, but the players are the actors in the story and they have to drive the action. And if you want to have an action-packed story, actions need to happen. Fight things, talk to characters, steal things or investigate things if you're lawful, like investigate, whatever, but be involved, have your character do things. You should be looking at your skill chart saying, what skills do I have that can allow me to do things? What weapons do I have that will allow me to fight? How can I help the people at my table do the things they're trying to do? If you're waiting for your story to come to you, you're going to have a piss poor time and you're not going to be very good at D&D and you're going to go, oh, this is terrible. This game sucks. I don't know why it's so popular. Well, be involved. It might be scary. And if you don't know what to do, just say, hey, I really want to do something here. I'm not sure what I should do. Can someone help? Any D&D player, any role-playing gamer who's worth their salt, who's positive, who's done this before, these are like all the players in our RPG club, the thousands we've worked with, they're going to be like, hey, I got you. Like, here's some cool ideas. The dungeon master might say, hey, you could try this, or you have that cool ability. What do you think? And then you get involved in the action. Last major thing here. I guess point 5, I guess. This does not apply if this is your first time. Okay, if this is your first, second, like if you're just learning, just show up. Especially if you're in RPG club games, just show up. Just like come to the game, log into your computer, get your headphones on, be ready to play, and just be there. Well, our GMs, the players, take care of the rest. They'll help you figure it out. But if you've played a couple of times, or if you've played more than a couple of times, I'm talking about you, the people who've been around since like 3rd edition. You've been around for a while. You've played more than a few times. It's helpful if you know some things about your character. It's helpful if you know some things about their abilities, especially in combat, because we've seen this major thing in all of our games. Speed creates immersion, and immersion is what almost every player wants. That's why they're paying our professional GMs. That's why we can't get them to go away, because we're great at creating immersion. I guess it's a humble brag, but the whole thing is that people are asking for immersion, and the speed of gameplay, rate of play, creates that immersion. So every player comes to us, and I interact with many players on social media, and they're like, well, how can I have the most immersive experience possible? Know your damn abilities. Know your stats. Have your brain engaged so when it comes to your turn on combat, you know what to do. And I mean this in a nice way, like a positive way. Like if there's if there's a rogue in front of you, and then it's time for the wizard to go, and you're up, and you're like, I'm a sorcerer. What am I going to do? When the rogue is going 2 turns in front of you, it makes sense to be looking through your spells going, okay, I know I have these couple of spells that I might use. I'm double checking the abilities. So I have an idea of, okay, I'm going to probably use this one or this one. Then when it comes to, you can quickly make a decision, maybe 30 seconds max to make your decision. Roll your dice, make your action, progress the plot. Combat should not take 2 hours. Sometimes it does because players don't know what they're doing and it's a tactical plot. We put timers on players many times if we want to accelerate and create really intense moments. We say, all right, you have 1 minute to execute your turn, or 30 seconds to execute your turn. Obviously not every time, but if you want to have an intense D&D session, just have a dungeon master, put a timer on you. And likewise, if you want to be a player that's playing with speed to create immersion, know your character's abilities, know the ideas of what they can do as you're more experienced, because it's going to help. It's going to help you have more fun. It's going to help you be the best D&D player you can be. So if you want to get involved with what we do, I mean, again, this is sort of a pitch for, it's sort of an advertisement, but it's Not really. We play a lot of games. We've played over 17,000 professional D&D sessions. This whole thing, RPG Club, started in a bar 5 years ago where I was trying to make some money, but more importantly, I was trying to solve a problem where I was really tired of people wanting to play and then flaking. I mean, we know it in the hobby, right? Like the scheduling is the BBEG for everyone. So I was like, well, if people pay a little bit of money, maybe they'll show up. And then it started working and people started playing, and we were in this bar, we were playing, and it was growing. And suddenly we had, 5 players, 10 players, 15, 20. Then we had like 40 players. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Eventually it went online when COVID hit, which worked really well because now we have a tech platform that we've built. We brought GMs in from all over the world, and we've hosted over 17,000 games, and the players don't go away, which means games are reliable and people show up to play every week. I think we have like our average group plays together, not the same campaign, but the same group is playing together now on average for like 100+ weeks. It's a lot of groups. Think about that. Like you can play D&D every single week, play your role-playing experience every single week, tell your story, get your character, talk to each other in between sessions. So that's the kind of stuff that we do. It's very exciting. It's continuing to grow. My name is Adam Scott. I'm the lead designer of all of this stuff, but really I'm just the guy behind the scenes who makes some content when I have time and try to support everybody who's involved, including players and GMs, because I want you all to have the best experience possible. It's a truly like community-driven, organic experience, and I really hope it's positive for everyone. So let me know what comments you have below about the best D&D player ever. If you try some of these things or you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If a friend that you know could benefit from this, of course, please share this with them. Like the video, of course, because it helps the algorithm. If you learn something, put a like on there. Maybe somebody else will see it who could benefit from it. And let me know what other content I can create that will help you. I'm going to make a priority to do that for you. Also, if you're interested in our stuff, links in the bio. We have a community Discord where you can contact us directly and say, hey, Adam, I have some content ideas. We'd love to have you there. All our GMs hang out. They're happy to give you just advice. We're not trying to sell you advice. Like if you have a question about your character or about a plot for a story you're running and you never spend money with RPG Club, like cool, come hang out. We're here to help people really enjoy this hobby. So I'm Adam Scott for RPG Club. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you've been around here. I'm glad you're a part of this. Many more to come. Talk to you later.